Hello everybody, I'm Katie Firth and I work here at Stromness Museum, and I'm going to be showing you inside Magnus Spence's herbarium. Magnus Spence was a school teacher who lived in Dearness. He collected plants and pressed them so that they were preserved. Over 900 of his plants are here in Stromness Museum in this special cabinet. The collection is called a herbarium. This means it has been sorted out into a particular order. Modern scientists can look at these old plants and it helps them to identify specimens that they have found. What's really interesting is that there are plants here in the herbarium that don't grow in Orkney anymore. The public don't get to have a look in here when they visit the museum. You can only see the plants by special appointment. And since they're around 130 years old, they are very fragile and we have to be very careful with them. So that's why I'm wearing gloves. Here I'm looking at meadowsweet, a plant that you might have seen growing on the verges in the summer in Orkney. All of the plants are pressed with a special label beside them, and that tells you where they've been collected from. You can see that Magnus Spence has pressed two examples of meadowsweet here, and the one on the right hand side, he's turned all the leaves the other way up, so you can see their undersides. Here's a dandelion, which you might recognise. And this one here is an orchid. If you look carefully at the stem of the orchid, you can see all the lines running up it. And we're going to learn now about how plants transport their water and nutrients up their stems. Just like us, plants need nutrients and water to survive. In the stem, there is a tube called the xylem. Underneath the leaves, there are holes called stomata. Water evaporates out of the stomata, and as it does this, it pulls more water up the xylem from the roots to fill the gap. As the water keeps evaporating, more water is pulled up the tube, and with it, it brings nutrients to the rest of the plant to feed all the leaves and keep the plant growing. So for this experiment, you'll need water, you'll need a selection of different containers, and you'll need some food colouring. You'll also need some plants. This is some celery out the fridge. There's some lettuce as well. I'm also going to try and see what happens if I use cabbage. You'll also need an adult to help you with a knife and a chopping board. Now take your containers and pour some water into each one. You shouldn't need too much water. It'll mean that you need to use less food colouring. So now I'm going to put a bit of food colouring into each one. And you do need to be quite generous. Use quite a lot until the water goes quite dark. You can experiment with different colours if you like. So take your first plant stem and ask an adult to help you just to cut the end off so that you have a fresh end of the plant to use. Just like that. And do the same with any other plants. you're using, like the lettuce. Then put your plants into your containers. Celery might need a tall container to hold it upright. So after a day or so, you can see the lettuce has sucked up quite a lot of blue food colouring up its xylem. And if you take the celery out of the water and peel back a bit of the stem, you can see it sucked up a lot of food colouring up all of these little tubes. On the cabbage, you can see the ends of the xylem are all dyed blue, even though the rest of the xylem didn't look like it had changed much. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've had fun. Now remember to tidy up and wash your hands. Bye!